All right.
Yeah, and I think, we're a storytelling podcast. We want to hear your story and the stories within your story. So I think the best place to start is when you were a kid and when you were around your grandmother a lot. Tell us about your grandmother and your childhood.
So I like that question a lot. I feel like maybe you might have done a little bit of homework on me. So
He's good.
you're making me feel special, and I
You
and
know what it is? You know what the best part is? I do the homework and I don't really ask Erica to do much because I love for her to hear it for the first time. So I kind of know what I'm going to ask and I love to see her reaction
so
because it's
I
like a true honest
I
reaction.
love that, and I really appreciate the question. So a lot of folks wanna know what the panda is about and where it came from. I call myself the Marathon Panda. I go as far as saying you can't call yourself the Marathon Panda if you're not outside running marathons. So I stay outside and I run a lot as much as I can. I'm really fortunate for that and grateful for that. As a kid, track and field running, it just wasn't on my radar. I was always active with everything from little league baseball to Pop Warner football to CYO basketball, but I joke around and it's not really a joke, it's the truth. I was the kid that they put in for 4 plays because he showed up at every practice and his mom was in the stands,
Mm-hmm.
making sure that she got to see him. So I was the participation trophy winner in all those sports,
I
which is
feel ya.
great, but I never excelled at sports. I loved it. I enjoyed it. But I was never like an all-star level. Back up a little bit, and as a toddler, my grandmother gave me my very first panda bear stuffed animal. I never left anywhere. I never left home without it. I went everywhere with it. I started asking questions about the panda bear and like asking for posters and National Geographic was a big thing in my grandmother's house. She used to get me the
Mm-hmm.
subscription. But the only animal I seemed to really get excited about was the panda bear. And she'd order me these posters and special books and everything. And then she used to tell me as I was growing up, you're going to be a runner with these strong legs. And I can remember like if as little as being able to sit on her lap to not being able to sit on her lap, she would still kind of like give me a smack on the thighs and on the quad area, I guess, and say, you're going to be a runner with these strong legs. And once again, junior high, high school, I never even grasped it. Track and field running wasn't on my radar. As a young adult, running became my go-to exercise when I wanted to relieve stress, when I wanted to build some self-esteem.
Mm-hmm.
And as a young adult is also when I started to get into making bad decisions. So fast forward past all
Mm.
the youth athletic stuff. I've graduated high school. I graduated a tech school after high school, and I'm working. I was always a full-time sales professional, but I struggled a lot early on in my early 20s with alcohol and drug abuse. And we can talk about that more. But
Mm-hmm.
that was my biggest struggle. Where I'm going with that is I would use running as a way to kind of shake off, a bad Friday night. If I woke up on Saturday feeling like, for lack of a better term, maybe dog poop. But so
Yeah, yeah.
I would go for a run.
Like a code brown.
Yeah. I'd go for a run, and it would lift my self esteem. It would make me feel a little bit better. For some reason, running was that go to exercise. Even though I knew nothing about it, I just enjoyed it. I would have like these motivating conversations, like kind of kicking myself in the butt, telling myself that I'm better than the decisions I made last night. I'm better than the decisions I made last week. And I
Mm-hmm.
would have it just gave me this opportunity to be with my thoughts and kind of face my thoughts, and I really enjoyed that. But when I say I was never consistent with it, the never needs to be in the biggest capital letters ever. I was never consistent with it. This was a once in a while thing that I did. I'm not saying it was like even once a week. This was a once in a while thing that I did. When
Mm-hmm.
I got serious about my sobriety and my health and my wellness, I immediately turned to running as the most consistent thing. And there's even a cool story where I was in this men's program right here in Cranston, Rhode Island, and we weren't allowed to leave the facility for the first 90 days. So I was only allowed out in the parking lot, and I couldn't wait to go outside and just jog around that parking lot
Mm-hmm.
every single day. And I did that consistently. And I can remember the first few days how sore my legs were, walking up the stairs at night and so forth. But I said, I can't wait to go back out there and do it again tomorrow. And 20 minutes turned to 30 minutes, turned to 40 minutes. And I can remember the first time I was able to jog for 60 minutes consistently without stopping. It was such a mental and physical victory for me in my head. And then there was some really cool things that started to happen. There was a woman that volunteered at that facility, and she pulled me to the side on a Saturday morning. And we're probably talking, I'm still brand new in this program, 60 days into this men's rehab program, 70 days into
Okay.
this men's rehab program. And this woman pulls me to the side and she said, "Oh, Maurice, come here. I want to show you something." And she gifted me a brand new pair of Asics running sneakers with the story that her husband was a retired high school track coach, former marathoner. She would go home and tell him, this guy Maurice is at the program, running his butt off in the parking lot every day with some of the other guys joking about him behind his back and to his face, and he just doesn't care. He stays consistent. So she's going home and telling her husband all these great things about me, to the tune where they decided to gift me a pair of Asics running sneakers. And it was just such a tremendous gift, because it just showed me that, like, wow, this is like, it kind of made me think, like, this is what I need to be doing. And as corny as it may sound, it was like, it was the first open door from running, other than the mental and physical freedom that I would find. And I was like, this is like really, really cool to be to be recognized, B, to be gifted with something, C, to just kind of, have that positive encouragement from somebody that never even met me, to be like, keep doing what you're doing. And from that moment on, I had the idea of running a marathon in my head. I didn't know anything about the distance, about the history, about the sport, about the community, about qualifications. I mean, I didn't even know what an 800-meter was. I didn't know about track and field events. Once again, I knew that there was track and field. I knew it existed. I had,
Yeah.
a buddy that ran it in high school, but it was just so far away from my radar. I was just very naive to it. And even as a young adult, seeing track and stuff on the Olympics on television and stuff, it wasn't something that I grasped. And I'm so grateful for my growth over the next 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 years, growth in
Wow.
knowledge, growth in maturity. So that's a little backstory before I get too far off track. And then, so to just finish off on that, when I started getting serious about the running and stayed super consistent with it, I can remember the first time I ran for 2 hours. It was always about, like, how far I could go. I had a couple of, major slip ups in life, but running was always my go-to thing.
Hmm.
And I signed up for my very first half marathon, and it's a really cool story, because I was literally, a week released from prison. The race was local, and I show up at this race. I think I bought a pair of Brooks running sneakers, like, on the clearance rack at a local Marshall's, having no idea what I was doing. Show up at this half marathon. I run the thing. A woman at the end was like, "Do you know how to look up your time on the computer? You just put in your bib number.
Yeah.
You can see your time." So she showed me, and she immediately said, "Dude, you did awesome. High five." And she gives me this high five, and I was like, where has this been my entire life? Once again, don't get me wrong. I played the youth
Yes.
sports. I did the youth stuff. I know what teamwork is.
Yeah.
I know what camaraderie is. But
The community.
it was this missing piece, because I had struggled so long doing so many negative things with my time, with my body, with all that stuff. So to find something so positive, it was like an immediate, like, where has this been my whole life? I want more of this. And I was like, thank you. She's like, you rocked it. Awesome time. And I didn't even know, like, what, you know what I mean? It was just, everything was so brand new to me. I was like, when can I do this again? Signed up for another half. I think I ended up doing like 6 before the end of the year. Like, it was just nuts. And
Wow.
I just tried to, and then I got into the marathon distance, and I did 6 in my first, 3 months or something like that. And then I just kept challenging myself, and
You're like a maniac, marathon maniac.
immediately I joined Marathon Maniacs. I think my
Oh, you
first
did?
year of
Excellent.
marathoning. Yes, yeah. But not to get too far off track, I immediately embraced that role of being a cheerleader, because I was always so excited. And I'm like, all of us should be excited. We're all out here doing this really cool stuff. And I never really lost, like, that, hey, this is brand new. Like, we're lucky to be out here. And I build off of it. And over the years, I've continued to build off of it and just embrace that cheerleader attitude and role.
I just love
I love
that
it.
so much. Honestly, that's the person that you want to encounter in all of your races. Even, you know what? Even just running outside, like could be a practice run, and you see a neighbor or something, and they just give you a wave. Like that just makes me smile. So if you're giving off that energy to anybody you see, they're giving it back to you. It's just such a mutual appreciation.
I'm a waver.
It's one of the best parts about the running community. It just, I love it so much.
I'm a
It's getting me
waver.
excited.
I'm a happy Tuesday
Good.
guy. I'm a happy
Yeah.
Wednesday guy.